Welcome back, everybody, to the Pleb Underground, the signal without the slop. I'm your host, Phil. Some of the topics that we are going to be looking at today for the Hopium, we've got some interesting comments from Gary Gensler. We've also got some Steak and Shake, some more Steak and Shake news. That's right. Most importantly, right, that $18 trillion opportunity, right? $18 trillion opportunity. What could that be? Yeah, that's right. We're going to dive into it. I'm going to do this teasing thing. Also some new solo miners, right? Guys that are desperately trying to open source and do the work and make it right, make it a fair playing field for everybody. We're going to take a look at that. If you thought the shitcoining was, for whatever reason, dying or done, yeah, we're going to take a look at a Bored Ape commercial that's pretty cringe. Strategic Bitcoin reserve updates. Why not? We'll see what France is doing. Core versus not. That's right. Somehow every 24 hours becomes more cringe than the last 24 hours. And we are, of course, going to cover it. And it's been a minute, but we've got some Paper Bitcoin summer updates, Prenetics, Metaplanet, SQNS, and MicroStrategy. Before we dive into all that fun stuff, guys, you know the deal. Gonna give a shout out to the Pleb Underground sponsor. We're gonna be back with all of the fun. Let's do it.
Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium.
Okay, let's just dive right into it. And here we go. You know what? I'll just start off right away with, right? I don't want to make you guys sit here and wait for that. So here it is, guys. The $18 trillion opportunity, right? Standard & Poor's hits 6,900 for the first time ever, adding 18 trillion in market cap. Since April 2025 lows. Bitcoin's entire market cap, it's still just 2.27 trillion. We're so unbelievably early, guys. No one is going to own anything besides Bitcoin. That's the assertion, right? The assertion is that Bitcoin is going to swallow all of the value, right? Nobody's ever going to own a house ever again. Nobody's ever going to own a boat. No one's ever going to own a car. Everyone's just going to own absolutely nothing and just have Bitcoin. I don't buy that for a second. And again, it's not to say that we're not going to have amazing adoption with Bitcoin and that we're not going to do the little hockey stick thing and all that good stuff. Of course we are. This fucking nonsense that every single thing is just going to get swallowed into Bitcoin. Meh. Put a little break on that. Putting a little break on that. Anyways, let's take a listen to some bullish comments here from I consider them bullish. In hindsight, right? In hindsight, Gary Gensler was a little bit more of a friend to us Bitcoiners than we may have thought.
Yeah, I think that Bitcoin is a highly speculative, volatile asset, but with 7 billion people around the globe, 7 billion people want to trade it, just like we do have gold for 10,000 years. We have Bitcoin. It might be something else in the future as well. Right. These other thousands of projects need to show their use case and show that they actually have fundamentals underlying them, or they won't persist, Joe.
Oh my God, you own Bitcoin.
That's where the public. That's why the public needs disclosure.
That's what it's.
I don't.
You love
I've
it.
never owned.
You love.
I've never.
You love it. You don't like those other coins.
I've never owned any of these.
Pay attention to what he says. Pay attention to what he does. Right. The truth of the matter is that Gary Gensler was essentially the Cheeto in the door, right, holding the door from breaking open and letting all the shit coins in, and you can see what happened, right? Like, history is now in the past, and we can see the door has swung wide open for shit coins. It's kind of funny though. It's kind of funny because essentially, right, he said something. He goes, well, he's telling you to look at the fundamentals of these other tokens and saying that, hey, look, the ones that have good fundamentals, like, they're gonna win out. So the reality is that none of these other projects, right, unless it's like some type of a liquidity type of thing, right, yield or something like that, then of course, like, there's an argument for the token, right? But the reality is that all of these other technologies, right, like the Oracle stuff and the decentralized VPNs and maybe decentralized file storage and all that stuff, none of that requires a token, okay, in order to provide its product or service. So many of these things are just going to disappear. And what you're going to end up having are companies that do have legitimate products and services that they offer, and they aren't going to be, they're not actually going to be shilling their token. And if they are, it's just going to be a novelty. And really what they're going to try to get are shareholders. So even though to shitcoin companies, shareholders are actually kind of a bad thing, because obviously with tokens, there's no rules. Right, like they don't. There's no legal there's no legal requirements or anything like that with tokens. They could just do whatever the hell they want. Whereas with shares, there's a whole entire legal structure and the enforcement of the state behind it. So, yeah, good times. Anyways, Steak and Shake, right? Steak and Shake, making me want fries, even though fries are supposedly evil. So look, right? A lot of Bitcoiners gave crap to Steak and Shake. Because, hey, your fries are only half, right? When you fry them back at the factory, it's done in seed oils. Well, according to Steak and Shake now, they've listened, they've heard everybody, and it turns out that they are going to do the initial half frying in tallow and then fully frying in full tallow. So, hats off to you guys, Steak and Shake. I know that some people were, and myself included, right, disappointed in you guys asking everyone if you should be accepting Ethereum. And I'm glad that you removed that poll and realized that nobody cares to actually use these shitcoins. So good stuff. Good stuff to you guys, Steak and Shake. All right. Let's see what we got next. Well, I think we just blew right past through all of the hopium. That was pretty good stuff. Okay, let's all have a laugh. All right, let's sit back and have a laugh before we start talking about core versus knots, and we make everybody upset. I make everybody upset. Here we go. I had to mute it, obviously. So this is the new commercial. BMW, Bored Apes. Yeah, they know who their audience is. They're like, yeah, we know the people that are extremely desirous of these overpriced cars that cause nothing but problems. So yeah, right. The giant, I mean, for me, of course, it's a giant nothing burger. It doesn't really surprise me. Something that I talked about probably 5 years ago already, right, was the partnership parade. And shitcoiners and shitcoin projects are excellent at this. I don't know if they learned it. Yeah, Z-Logic, it is gross. I don't know if shitcoiners learned this as a result of working in Silicon Valley or whatnot, but it's something that I definitely noticed in the company that I was working, was that, you'd have all these amazing partnerships, right? Microsoft, partnerships with Google, right? Partnerships with Oracle, right? These huge companies, right? Multi-billion-dollar companies, pallets of cash. How much of that actually translates to the bottom line, right? Most cases, you'd be surprised. Almost nothing. And whatever does is almost unquantifiable. So, yeah, this is just partnership parade stuff. Nobody cares. I did think it was funny though, and I do appreciate them attempting to revive their little zombie project. We've seen countless examples of people who bought these ridiculous NFTs 3 and 4 years ago, for like $500,000 supposedly, right? $200,000, $400,000, and these guys can't even get 20K for this. And seriously, 20K is too expensive for that. These things are worth absolutely nothing. So good luck with the shit coins, and yeah, lots of fun. All right, moving on. Let's dive into the let's
we'll dive into the strategic Bitcoin reserve stuff, right? Take a look at the strategic Bitcoin reserve stuff. So, French politician Éric Ciotti introduced a bill to adapt the new monetary order by embracing Bitcoin and crypto. Interestingly, right, this is one of these situations where it might be the reverse from what we're normally used to, right? Normally, it's a whole bunch of crypto stuff, right? And then they just paint this big Bitcoin billboard in front of it. Maybe France is a little different. Anyways, the initiative calls for a national Bitcoin strategic reserve and aims to position the cryptocurrency as a form of digital gold to strengthen financial sovereignty. France aims to acquire up to 2% of Bitcoin's total supply. Very lofty. Roughly 420,000. That's a good number. Over the next 7 to 8 years. Ambitious. To manage the reserve. Here we go. Here comes some administrative slop. To manage the reserve, the bill envisions the creation of a public administrative establishment. Got to make those jobs, right? Yeah, we'll give you your Bitcoin strategic. We'll give you your strategic Bitcoin reserve, but we need you to guarantee some jobs. Similar in structure to France's gold and foreign currency holdings. Funding for the Bitcoin reserve would come from multiple sources. Surplus nuclear, interesting, and hydroelectric energy would power public Bitcoin mining operations with adapted taxation for miners to encourage domestic participation. I am very curious to see how much of France's Bitcoin ends up coming from confiscations. I see that they mentioned things there that are not confiscations. That's cool. But we'll see if, we'll end up finding out how much of this is, from confiscations. We'll see. Okay. All right. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. It's time to get dirty. So look, core versus not stuff. I'm going to start off with some funny stuff. Okay. I'm going to start off with some ridiculousness and then we'll dive into some real stuff. So there was this post from Layer 2 Labs. Guys, I'm not a supporter of Layer 2 Labs. That's Paul Stork's project. Drive chains. I think it was drive chains, which I don't even remember what the arguments were against it, but I think it de-incentivizes the miners. Or, anyways, doesn't matter. It was like 2-3 years ago. But either way, the point is just the tweet says foreshadowing in retrospect. Okay, so just take that into consideration. Okay, so this is the ocean mining launch, right? And you might not recognize some of the people there. I don't recognize everybody there, but I do recognize Luke and I do recognize Jack Dorsey in the background. Now let's have a little watch here.
Come on, Luke. Second.
I think some of the devs haven't been listening to the carnivore diet stuff and the exercise stuff.
Too much give on the plastic. Come on, hit it hard. Come on, man.
Really? What the hell is that bottle made of?
All right, open the bottle.
Come on. Okay. All right. So I guess that's just a way of saying, well, the foreshadowing was, well, this was all going to be a giant shit show, and to a certain extent, I can't disagree with it. Here's a nice little post here from Mike Tidwell. Also, right, satire, guys, right? It's a lot of joking. This is where we are in the argument at this point. So of course you may know that the BIP number is 4444, and in contrary to, right, it's not the same thing in every religion or in every spiritual belief, but there's some spiritual beliefs that say that 444 is actually a bad luck number, whereas other spiritual and religious beliefs say that it is a good luck number. And of course, Mike went the route of violence. So not, this is the point of the argument where we are just filled with absolute ridiculousness. But yeah, that's not it. Don't worry, guys. Yeah, Dorsey funding Luke. Yeah, it is. He's funding both of them, right? Like, this is the thing. That's the weird part, is that people want to sit there and be like, oh, Core is captured. Look who's giving the money. Did you look to see who was giving Luke money?
right? Like, why isn't ocean mining captured? Because of who's giving them money. So yeah, we're just gonna. It's all such nonsense. It really is. And in the meantime, guys, right, all the paper Bitcoin is being printed ad nauseum, and Wall Street is having a field day. Guys like Larry Fink are like, have all, and what's his name? Cantor Fitzgerald guy. Howard Lutnick, right? Like, they're retiring their entire bloodlines off of all of this. Okay. So I'm not talking about off of the battle between Bitcoin Core and Knots. I'm talking about all of this paper Bitcoin and all of these stupid products that they're putting out, right? And in the meantime, we're sitting here fighting about JPEGs, right? JPEGs killing Bitcoin, and morality. Anyways, okay, sorry guys, I'll shut up. Here we go. Nope, not that one, not the DNS seed one. We're getting to that one. We are getting to that one. So there it is. That's what I was looking for, guys. I was looking for this. Okay, so there is a awesome thread, okay, from CB Spears. Shout out to him. Shout out to him for for putting out this thread, because to a certain extent, right, he is correct. Right, there are a lot of people that don't actually read through any of this stuff and don't really know, and essentially are just looking for somebody that they trust, an influencer or something like that, just to tell them what they should be thinking, right? How they should be thinking of things. So this is a whole entire thread in the show notes, covers the whole entire story. Okay, which I've already covered the beginning of it in yesterday's update, right? But of course, there's more stuff that has happened. Okay, so in terms of this soft fork, right? And this is the piece I want to key in. Hey, good morning, Cold Deck. The piece I want to key in from CB Spears is this, right? He's saying the real crazy part about this BIP, right, is the reactive activation. The proposal gives two ways of activating proactive and reactive. Proactive is the conventional Bitcoin way. Everyone coordinates a date in the future and they signal. Reactive fork at any time based on ambiguous rules for determining if a transaction is offensive or illegal enough to fork. If a transaction is illegal enough or morally wrong enough, then the miners would go back to that block, presumably hours or days, and rebuild from that block height. The reactive fork could be interpreted as a reorg. I would interpret it as a reorg in this way, and almost certainly cause a chain split. So, according to CB Spears, it's already quite unpopular. F2 Pool founder Sado Fishy indicates that that they would not support BIP 444. You can see here the comment from Chun. 444 is a bad idea, not going to soft fork anything temporary or not. Yeah, and CB Spears is saying that's just the tip of the iceberg. As developers read through and comment on the proposal, we're finding out that the filter soft fork could freeze users' funds, users who are using Bitcoin exclusively for monetary reasons. We also see notable developers such as Greg Maxwell claiming that there is an effort on his behalf, on the behalf of Ocean employees, to lobby for the fork. This is what I was explaining yesterday. It is unclear whether they are acting on behalf of the company or individually. And this was the piece, right? I wasn't aware of yesterday that this could actually end up freezing funds. Yeah, it's getting messy, right? Like that. There's no hiding it. There's really no hiding it. It's definitely gotten to that point where it is messy and lines are being drawn in the sand, and people are obviously taking sides. And the last thing that I saw develop, right, was this piece right here. Luke's DNS seed will probably be removed from Bitcoin Core. Turns out that it probably intentionally does not return any version 30 nodes, which break the rules. And of course, right, just for edification, right, for all of us, a DNS seed list is a mechanism used primarily in Bitcoin and other
peer-to-peer cryptocurrencies to help new nodes discover peers on the network when they first start up. So it's getting messy, guys. It is definitely getting messy. But anyways, we're going to move on from the core versus not stuff, and we are going to take a look at some paper Bitcoin summer action. That's right. That's right. Paper Bitcoin. Let's do it. Let's do the paper Bitcoin stuff. So it's amazing how a couple of weeks, right? Things change. Things change in a couple of weeks, right? People go from buying Bitcoin to all of a sudden doing other things in order to mask maybe what's happening. So here is a retweet from Predator. Well, that was a quick pivot, and he was retweeting Dylan Leclerc, right? Wall Street has been put on notice, and that was back on August 10th. Well, just yesterday or 2 days ago, Metaplanet authorized a repurchase of up to 150 million shares of its common stock. Concurrently, the company has secured a credit facility for use up to 500 million to be utilized at the company's discretion, which again could be buying Bitcoin, but instead they're buying shares back. Now, look, in most instances, okay, a company will buy its shares back. I'll say this, okay? A company will buy its shares back when it is determined that those shares are trading at a discount to, we'll say, their intrinsic value. Okay, we can leave it at that. I'm not sure if Metaplanet is really in that position necessarily. I know some people would argue differently based on their Bitcoin holdings. That's totally fine. But I got to tell you, a business that essentially has gotten rid of a good portion of its core operations and has switched to a Bitcoin treasury, and not even 2 years later, not even a year later, I'm being really nice by saying 2 years, not even a year later, is doing a share repurchase instead of buying more Bitcoin. I don't know. I don't really think that that's I don't think that that's such a good sign. Anyways, yeah, it's a red flag for me, I'll tell you that much. Moving on. NASDAQ listed healthcare company Prenetics raises 48 million to buy more Bitcoin. Prenetics has bought 1 Bitcoin per day since August 1st. Their long-term goal is $1 billion. Yeah, $1 billion worth of Bitcoin by 2026. Okay. $1 billion worth of Bitcoin by 2026, you say, huh? Sorry, I got to go pull up the chart. I got to go see these guys. I got a feeling that they look a lot like everybody else. Ew. Yeah, okay, hold on. I'm going to pull this up for you guys. This is pretty bad stuff. Pretty bad. Okay, here it is. All right. And I know, right? Charts don't necessarily mean anything, right? They don't dictate what the business is or blah, 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 all that good stuff. Okay, fine, no problem. So back in May of 2023, they gave you 1,289 shares for 1,000 shares. So they did a split, a typical stock split. Very weird one. Anyways, but then back in November 2023, so sorry, they did that in 2022. And then in November of 2023, they did a 1 for 15. So for every 15 shares that you had, you now only have 1. And you'll notice the stock price is at $13. So the easiest logical guess was that they did this reverse split in order to get back up above $1. Because unfortunately, it's a dying stock. Yep, that's going to be my take on that one. It is a dying stock. Anyways, yep, paper Bitcoin summer, right? We want to cheer all these dead companies. If they had real business prospects, they wouldn't have to sit there and tell you how much Bitcoin they're buying. They would simply just have to do business and their earnings would show, right? Their return on equity would show. Oh, it's all such bullshit. Anyways, all right, let's continue. We've got more paper Bitcoin summer, right? Yeah, of course. Yay. Oh, look at that. Not even a year, guys.
Did SQNS just dump 970 Bitcoin? Did they? Oh, yeah. SQNS, Bitcoin treasury company with over 3,200. Not anymore. Not anymore. Couldn't even make it a year, guys. Okay? They couldn't even make it a year. So they tried the stock repurchase. That didn't work. Didn't pump the bags. Okay, that was like 2 weeks ago. They announced that, or a week ago. And now they've had no choice but to dump Bitcoin to keep the lights on. This is, I know it's tough listening to somebody who doesn't wear a suit, right? That doesn't have, that doesn't claim to have hundreds of millions of dollars, or that's not wearing $1 million, Richard DeMille watch. But guys, it doesn't make a difference. When you understand how these businesses work, you know that they're just completely full of crap. And that is exactly what we're seeing here. These businesses cannot afford to hold Bitcoin. Okay? If you want to actually, if you're going to want exposure to Bitcoin through stonks, go and find a real company that has legitimate earnings that is accumulating Bitcoin in order to hang on to their savings and purchasing power. That's all there is to it. The rest of this stuff is crap. Now, I'm not saying that you can't make any money off of, inefficiencies in the market and all that stuff. Of course you can. Of course you can guess and you can speculate. But to me, when I see a company that has zero prospects, they can't even, what was that, 8 months ago they announced that they were buying Bitcoin, and now they're already selling pretty much a third of it? I mean, how much of a red flag do you need? Oh, but the smartest people in Bitcoin have been talking about it, and they say such incredible words like intelligent leverage. The guy in the suit, he must be right. Guy in the suit begging for your fucking dollars. Okay? Sorry to say it. He's the one begging for your dollars. Okay, sorry. I know I get really pissed off about this. I can't help it. That's great. All right, more paper Bitcoin summer. Show me potato salad. Here we go. All right. Sailor's strategy now holds 3% of the entire Bitcoin supply. Good for him. But wait, there's more. Here we go. Yeah, exactly. They do rent the mansions also. That's a very good point. It's all bullshit. It's all such crap. It's unbelievable. Anyways, the Blackrock backed Scuritize to go public. Oh, look at that, right? What was I telling you about at the beginning, right? Who are the real winners in all of this? Right? Blackrock, Cantor, Fitzgerald, right? It's guys, the Bitcoiners, right? We all gonna make it. You don't understand who runs the show. I love Bitcoin. I genuinely do, but I also understand who runs the freaking show. That's the difference. Okay. And these guys, they're not just gonna walk away. They're not gonna be like, oh yeah, that's it. Hey, you know what? We've had our time in the sun. Hey, we'll let you have some power. Here you go. Scuritize expects up to $469 million in proceeds from their proposed merger. Existing backers, including Blackrock, who else? ARK Invest, Morgan Stanley. Good stuff. Hey, look at that. Their equity is going to be all rolled into little payday right before Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's so nice and festive. Scuritize offers a platform enabling companies to manage issuance of real-world assets. And they're doing it with shitcoins. Bless their hearts. Bless their hearts. So wonderful. Yeah, exactly. Right. Z-Logic, 3% of paper Bitcoin. Hey, listen. Okay, he's trying to keep the company safe by not showing you his addresses. Okay, he's keeping the company safe because right now what we're seeing is all these other companies that have doxed their stacks on chain, they're all being held for ransom and kidnapped and stuff. Right. Yeah. George Carlin said it best. It's all bullshit and it's all bad for you. That is the honest to God truth. Okay. Now some fun, right? Now some fun Hopium. Give a shout out to the pleb source. Yesterday we looked at Mullen Labby, right? He's doing a whole bunch of good stuff, open source projects. Pleb source, very, very nice here. Let's see what they say. No license. People can do whatever TF they want. Here are all the files for the LV08 Lucky Miner. Instructions on how to make it are coming in the next few days, courtesy of
JLCPCB. Power to the plebs. Hey, I like that. It's good stuff, guys. Yeah, because there are a lot of people that are pretty hardware savvy and they'd like to actually be able to build their own mining rigs, right? Some of us are fairly handy with a soldering iron and a board, you know? Anyway, so this is one of the, this is the miner that they do offer right now. It looks like it. What does it say here? Approximately, you're getting 4.2 to 5 terahash out of this thing, and supposedly the operating system is fully opened up, so you can configure it and you can make whatever changes you want. That's good stuff. I think that's cool. So congratulations to you guys, the pleb source dudes. Way to go. Yeah, because right when some of us came into this space originally, we were, we were brainwashed with the whole truth seeking and like making open source stuff so that everybody can contribute and also make their own things. And you know what I mean? Like essentially helping propel people forward, right? Pushing ideas forward. And all of that has been replaced with the suits and the garbage and the closed source and the charlatans. Anyways. Yeah, definitely in the mornings after coffee. By the time we get to the evening, it's like I'm just dead. It's over for me by the evenings. But yeah, that's another reason why I like to do this show in the morning, right? But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for us for today. Thank you for listening to my rants. I really do. I appreciate every single one of you. I know that it's not a huge channel or anything like that and all that good stuff. But look, I enjoy talking about this. I appreciate all of you showing up every day, giving me your comments, and in some cases pushing back on my ridiculous comments. Right? This is what it's all about. This was actually one of the things that I enjoyed about Bitcoin when I first came to this space. Right? You'd say something and somebody would push back on you. And if you were genuinely trying to learn, right, then you'd stop and think and go, you know what? Maybe I got to go do more research. Maybe I have to learn more about this. And then I can come back to this discussion, and maybe have a clearer view on whatever it is that we're arguing. So, hey, Cold Deck, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, we don't do much advertising, and we don't go to the giant circle jerk conferences to pander, so not too many people know about us, but that's okay. That is my choice. Anyways, all right, guys, that's the end of that. Have a great rest of the day, and I will catch you all tomorrow. Peace.